Hi there, Sandra here from Createinspain, and today's project requires a brickwork card, which I didn't have, so I made myself a brick stamp. And I was trying to decide which of these inks I would use to do the brickwork. I did some test samples on here, and then I thought, hey, just mix them up and yeah, just use all of them because brickwork has different colours in it. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stamp the back and the front of this piece of card. This makes it so much easier than trying to add bits of card to simulate brick afterwards. So that's the way I'm going to play it. Okay, so let's go for the first bit, and I've not made a conscious effort to get completely even coverage because I want this to look distressed. Okay, so we shall see. It'll be distressed one way or another. As it happens, this stamp fits pretty much the bottom half. Oh, brilliant. Yep, that's fine. Fits pretty much the bottom half of my card. Now I've got all my pieces stamped, and it looks just like it was made that way. The colours I used are Memento Rhubarb Stalk, Morocco, and a Ladybug. Right, so I have folded all my score lines. This one isn't folded because this is the back of the card, but I folded all my score lines and decided which side I want to be the inside and which I want to be the outside. And now I want to put a hole in this back. So I'm just going to use a hole punch for this and put it roughly in the centre. Now the reason for this hole is this little lot. I picked this up in the Chinese shop yesterday, €1.80, and it's 2 meters of multicolour micro LEDs with the batteries. I kid you not. It comes with 2 CR2032 batteries for this. I couldn't get the batteries for that amount of money, so basically I've bought 2 batteries, well probably 1.5 batteries, the price the batteries are, and I've got the lights for free. So I'm rather pleased with that. It has a little piece of paper which is stopping the connection at the moment, so I'm just going to close that back up. I tested them yesterday just to check it worked. And if I switch these on, look, I've got multicolour ones. Aren't they pretty? Wow. So that's why I wanted the hole. And what will happen is I will thread this string of lights through from the back. 2 meters is quite a lot. I may have to take some out of there. I'll get them all in if I can, believe me, but I might have to take some off. I will thread the lights in through there, and then the battery is going to be just stuck on the back there, and it has its own on and off switch, so people can switch the card on and off as much as they want to, basically. Those 2 batteries should keep this lot of lights going for quite some considerable time. So they could probably have it on all the time over the Christmas holiday and it'd probably still be going. But, you know, it's such a great idea. And they can always keep the card, replenish the batteries, because you just have to open this up. It flips up. I can get my nail under there. It flips up so that you can change the batteries. So it's absolutely brilliant. And in fact, even for doing your normal lighting up cards, this would be a great way of doing them. The only trouble is that they have this rather large amount of wire attached, because you can cut these off at any length you want. If you want half a dozen lights for your card, you can have half a dozen lights. If you want 3 lights for your card, you can have 3 lights. If you want just 1, you can do it. And or for €1.80, and you don't even have to do any circuitry. To me, that is a no-brainer. That is just absolutely brilliant. So I will leave a link below to some places where you can get this kind of light. I was just stunned that I could find this with this small battery container, which is just so convenient for this purpose. The next bit in my construction is to put these struts in, and difficult to see from where they are, but if I put the card in its closed position like that, you can see they're evenly spaced. So this one, the strut comes ever so slightly back from the middle. This one is put a couple of millimeters from that fold there. And then this one is put a couple of millimeters from that center one. So that makes them nice and evenly spaced out. Now, when you want to actually close them together, and you might not want to do this until you've got various other design elements done on the flat, you can take the tape off this one and put the other one underneath it first, but that one needs to be stuck in that position inside rather than going on the outside of that one there. So you can put it down like that, take the tape off that one, put it that way, take the tape off there, and fold the whole lot down and fold and close in one go, if that's the way you want to do it. It's far easier to do it that way than it is to have it with the card and try to juggle it once your card is closed up. That's a really hard way of getting those struts in place evenly. The next thing I'm going to sort is my sentiment, and I decided on this sort of shield shape for the sentiment. So I've done the main piece in red, and I've done the writing in silver. I did that on my cutter. And then I've cut out a silver card background for this to go on. Now the easiest way of sticking this to a glitter card is with foam tape. So that's what I've used in this case. Trying to do it with glue is a little bit of hit and miss because glitter card is difficult to adhere to. So I need to put that on there, and I allowed, I think it was a 2mm offset on that, so that looks pretty good. This I've just got normal tape on, so I can peel off the backing tape from there. There we go, that's my sentiment put on. The first thing I've decided to do regards real decoration on this is to use some embossing powder. This is my version of Versamark, which I actually make using the stamp liquid that I buy, because the stamp liquid is probably what's in the original Versamark, and it does a great job anyway, and it's very, very sticky. I find it works brilliantly. This is the outside of the card rather than the inside, so it's the bit that people see when they first open the envelope. So I decided it's going to look a bit plain as it is, so I'm going to put a bit of white embossing powder on these tabs just on the top edge to simulate snow. So not a great deal of decoration. I'll probably put another greeting on here, but I can do that at the last minute. But this is going to have some white embossing powder to make it look like it's snowing. There we go. And I was right, I will be putting a second layer on. As you can see, I've got an enormous jar of Wow embossing powder here. And the reason for that is because I thought, well, probably need quite a lot of white. So I figured it was a good idea to get a good big jar of that. In actual fact, it's lasted me for years and I still haven't made a dent in it. Okay, that should do that. So first of all, I'm not going to put any on this one here. I'm just going to do the other three. First of all, I'm going to put the white on. And then, after that's been heat set, I'm going to come in with the sparkle one. So there we are. Already it's starting to look a little more festive. Because when I put these pieces out, you can see that they're kind of snow-tipped, which looks a little more interesting. I have a load of Christmas decorations cut out there, done with print and cut. And what I've done is I have taped this part of the wire, the thicker part of the wire, to the back of the card. Now, if I'd have thought about it a lot beforehand, what I would have done is to make another piece that goes over the back, and I would have moved the hole that I put in the center over to one side to accommodate the wires better. So because I've done that, I have slanted it, and you can still get at the on and off switch, which is fine. And the wire has been threaded through to the inside of the card, because to do it now is a lot easier than it is to do it when the card is assembled. In fact, it'd be next to impossible to put all this wire in once the card is put together. So I can test that it's working, which it is, that's fine. And of course, you know, it may not look pretty on the back, but that's not the side you're supposed to be looking at in the first place. And it does mean that anyone can change the batteries if they need to. And so the card can come out year after year after year if they want to. I've put the lights in here, and the way that I've done it is relatively simple. I let these stand up, and I literally wrapped the wire around there about 4 times on each of these struts. And I have put a piece of tape with the last light sticking up on the back side of this last strut. So I'm hoping and praying that when I close this down, it's going to work. So since this is a prototype, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and try it and see if this is going to work with the usual method of closing things up. The reason why I'm a little concerned is because all this adds bulk and could possibly move the areas where the sticky tape contacts on the appropriate side. So we shall see. I'm just going to go for it and hope for the best. Take all these off. And the first one that needs to go down, I can't put it directly onto the table because I've got the battery pack behind it. So the first one has to go on like that. And then the other ones close up. And yay, it has actually worked. So I've got a whole load of lights in here. And if I switch them on, you can see that is going to look pretty good. Now the advantage of having it wrapped around these things is that it can't really sink down to the bottom, but you can pull and manipulate these lights because it's wire to get them wherever you want them. And now I can simply finish it off with whatever I decide to put wherever I decide to put it. I've finished my version of this Christmas box now, and I'm quite happy with it. Now I could have put more items in here, but I'm careful not to overdo it because the idea is you do want to see some lights. And if you've got it completely filled up, you won't see any. I could have done some more filling in here, but I wasn't so keen on the images here that have got the big cutout. I mean, these were just automatically imported into the software and they already had the cut lines around them. So if I was going to use those, I would adjust it so that it was done with a trace in my software rather than just relying on what was already there as an SVG. I've added some ho-ho-hos on the side here. I've put a little bit of holly in here, and as I mentioned before, I've put a Happy Christmas on the front as well. Now if I switch it on at the back, whichever way it is, that way, you can see there is lots of light in there, and if I close my blind, it should go pretty dark. There we go. We still have a pretty well lit up card. I don't think you get many more lights in it than that. I've put the little decor pieces up on acetate. That's my preferred method of putting these things in. I will link the file below. It'll be the file for the stamp should you want to make a stamp or use it as a stencil. The shape for the box, the Happy Christmas, the ho ho ho, and I got all these images from Pixabay, so you can go on Pixabay and you can look and see what you'd like to actually use. I won't bother including those as a print and cut. So I hope you like it, and the idea was just to show you that this thing is a great way of making a lighting up card without having to do any circuitry. There is a lot of room for maneuver, so you can raise the lights a little, you can have them up around here, or you can have them down below so they are a little more hidden in the way of wires. It's just a matter of choice. Hope you enjoy it, hope you give it a try. Thanks very much for watching. Take care now.